Thank you to our sponsor for Season 2, Punto Space. The contemporary raw space combines capacity with intimacy. 4 distinct spaces on 3 levels encompass more than 3,500 square feet. Custom configurations, a state-of-the-art audio-visual system, and full-service support provide endless possibilities for realizing your creative vision. Welcome to Currency Shift, the podcast where we showcase and share insights from first, only, and the disruptive. These are people who are creating new lanes and carving new paths for women, people of color, and diversity and inclusion. My name is Sade Simone. Let's get started. All right, we have Amil Barnes in the house. Cheers to you.
Yes.
Take a little sip.
That's good.
Yeah, it's smooth, right?
Oh, yeah. Nice Sunday morning champeasy. That's what I call it.
Yes. So, Amil,
Yes.
I'm so happy to have you in the studio.
I'm excited to be here.
This is one of my friends from college. Shout out to UNC Charlotte.
Yep.
That's
49ers.
Yes, 49er pride. So I have him on the show today. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, they call me Amil. Amil Barnes. I'm from Washington, D.C., filmmaker, digital creative, all in all, hustler, entrepreneur, just trying to find ways of, survival. That's my whole thing. Surviving, making money, and doing it right, staying out of the law's way, and doing what I got to do,
Yes, yeah. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, given where you are now,
Yes.
You're a serious entrepreneur in the digital landscape,
Yes.
as well as in the gaming landscape
Yes.
with card games.
Yes, cuff.
Yes. Before we dive deep into that, I want to help tell your story from the very beginning. So let's go back to the very, very start. When you were younger, what were some of your childhood aspirations and dreams?
Oh, childhood aspirations and dreams. I always wanted to work for myself. So I was always like an entrepreneur and never wanted to work for anybody. My father used to, he would take me places to cut grass. And I remember my first early hustles were cutting grass with him. And then in my neighborhood, I even had a business of cleaning people's CDs.
What? Wait. Where were you at this time? Were you in New York?
No, this is D.C.
D.C.
This is D.C. And this is elementary, middle school. And I just always, I grew up what's the term? Latchkey
Yes,
kid.
the latchkey kid.
So I was always by myself. My mother worked 3 jobs. My mother and father had split. I would go see him twice a month, on the weekends and stay with him. But when I did go with him, he always tried to introduce me to some type of hustle to make money. And when I was with my mother, because my mother was never home, I would try to find ways of making money in my neighborhood. So I used to tell people, and this is when remember people used to put the CDs in the car, and then I created a sign and said, if you need your CDs clean, stop out 31st Avenue. I will clean your CDs so it can play clean and crisp in your car. I did everything. And got my first job working for Pocket Change. I always loved money.
Yeah.
My 3rd day working at Pocket Change, I was 14 years old.
Now, what is Pocket Change?
Pocket Change was an arcade.
Okay.
It was an arcade in Maryland. And I was 14. I just got my permit. I think you needed like a permit to work when you're that young. My 3rd day on the job, they made me a manager.
What?
I was 14 years old.
As a manager?
At an arcade, I walked around with $400 every day in change. And, they put that much trust in me because I always took my job seriously. And from there, did my regular jobs, working restaurant, hospitality. And that was my method of realizing that I didn't want to work for anybody. And not to say there's something wrong with working with somebody. I just like to make my own money on my own terms, on my own time, and create my own lane, pretty much.
I like that. So how did that mindset translate when you got to UNC Charlotte?
When I got to UNC Charlotte, I don't know if you remember, I sold the Game Time bands. And I did that in high school. I met a guy who had a clothing line called Game Time. And part of my 12th grade year project accounting class, we had to find a product in the area that was made from somebody from Washington, D.C., and connect with them and sell their product in school.
Oh, wow.
So I found the guy. His brand was called Game Time. Time was spelled Tyme. Y, they did a Y because when you praise God, you have your hands up in the sky. So, and when I went to UNC Charlotte, I was really just trying to make some money, you know. And the crazy thing is, and a lot of people don't know at that time, I don't know if you remember, freshmen weren't supposed to have single dorms.
Yeah, I remember that. You had to stay with somebody.
You had to stay with somebody. I paid. I was one of the only freshmen with a single dorm. I paid for the other person's room so I could have it by myself.
That's a boss move, man.
I had to have my own room, my own space. I worked that whole summer. I was like, all right, I'm at this new campus. Let me try to get my name out there. Yeah. And I was trying to make money too, you know. So I went around selling the Game Time bands and, you know, made some money. Got in trouble with UNC Charlotte, actually. A lot of people don't know. That was part of my reason for me leaving the school and transferring to Johnson & Wales. And, you know, with the Game Time bands, and I had Swagger and Company. I don't know if you remember Swagger and Company. Yeah, I remember
Swagger and Company.
You know, so I was always trying to do something positive, influence, have people around me, and that was always in my serial hustler entrepreneur phase.
Yeah, because when you went to Johnson & Wales, my brother used to talk about you, Dorian. I don't know what name he was going by at that time, because my brother, he likes to switch it up. 1 minute is Dorian.
That's your brother?
Next minute is Dorian. He probably said Gilbert. Yeah.
I didn't know that was your brother.
Yeah, that's my brother. He used to talk you up, and I was like, yeah, I know him.
That's my man.
Yeah, shout outs to you, little bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, he used to always talk you up about the things that you were doing, and you had a strong influence on him as well to get his entrepreneurial mindset going. So that's really good. So like you went from learning the hustle from your father to implementing that hustle throughout high school and college and even at Johnson & Wales. When did you make that shift into the digital space?
Well, it actually came the summer before I went into Johnson & Wales. So I think I did 3 years at UNC Charlotte and ultimately had to leave the school. And that summer, I just went through a horrible breakup. So I was trying to find something to do and something to uplift me. And that's how, matter of fact, I came up, my nickname, Amil, was created on July 4th, 2008. I didn't go back to D.C. for Independence Day. And I remember reading the magazine, I think it was XXL or Source. Do you remember the section where they had Who's Missing? They would put like a milk carton, and it would be like an old rapper or old singer. And they had Amil on it from Rockefeller.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, all money is legal. Okay, Amil, and then it was called Amil in the Boogie Down Kids. And with my ties to the Bronx, I was like, oh, that could be the name of my company. I don't know if you remember a street DVD called Smack DVD. Okay, Smack DVD comes out of New York City, and it was a guy named Smack, and he would go around to different hoods, and guys would rap.
Oh, okay.
And they would freestyle and battle each other. And Smack DVD, classic, historical. So July 4th, I literally went to Best Buy before they closed. They closed at like 5, 6 o'clock early that day. I had a credit card that I got on UNCC campus. Remember when we used to walk around, people that was getting credit cards?
Yeah, they used to be there heavy.
Yes.
Heavy.
So I had a credit card, went to Best Buy, brought a camera. Never knew nothing about operating a camera, working a camera. The next day, July 5th, I went to Eastland Mall.
Yeah.
And I literally walked around Eastland Mall with my camera and was walking up to anybody that looked like a rapper. So if their chain was jingling, and at the time with your bow jeans and the Air Force Ones, I would walk up to them, "Hey, you rap?" And I had my camera out.
Yeah.
And they was like, "Oh, you film?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so I literally was following these guys. He was like, "Oh, all right, just cut the camera on, just follow us around." I'm like, "All right, bet." So we walked to the jewelry store. They buying jewelry. Then we get out to the car, and they doing all the
typical rapper stuff.
Typical rapper stuff, holding their chains up, and I'm recording them. And I'm like, all right, cool. I meet them. Then that night, I went to a house party from some of our friends from UNCC, and some of them were like, I was like, "Yo, I got the camera." They're like, "Oh, we about to rap." We went into the hallway, and they started rapping. And I literally created a YouTube page from there.
Yes.
Threw videos up there. And, and it just started, from that. And then I was asked later on, like a month later, "Hey, do you do music videos?" I've never done one, but sure, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Did a shot a music video called Charlotte Forever. It was by Sporty Odie,
yes,
S-Dub, King Carter, Revenue, Royalty, and that was my first music video. Didn't make $1.
Those are all the Charlotte notable up-and-coming entrepreneurs / rappers / promoters / the group.
Yeah, of Charlotte, that side. And that was actually my introduction to outside of UNCC's campus. Because remember, I was just transferring to Johnson & Wales. I didn't know anybody. And when you're on UNCC's campus, sometimes it could be like a bubble. You only really know the people on campus. And that was my first introduction. And I had a little computer and got a program called Power Director. It was terrible. And I started editing stuff, and then, people just started asking for more stuff and music videos and flyers, and, and that's just back in 2008.
Yeah, because you had Shot by
Amil.
Yeah, Shot by Amil, and then you transitioned to Amil Digital.
Amil, well, it was Barnes Digital.
Okay, Barnes Digital.
Yeah,
okay.
And Barnes Digital is just more so just tightening it up the cores and the values of the brand to one day get to my children. I ain't want to be called Amil Digital. I figured my last name is Barnes Digital.
Pass it on.
Exactly.
Legacy.
Yeah.
No, this is really exciting because you're basically telling people about the mindset of just do it.
Yeah.
Like you really didn't have a plan. You just knew that, okay, this is what was available in New York, and it was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Let me try and bring something like that to this area, and let me take the lead. Tell us a little bit about your time in New York, though.
So once I had came to New York, lived in the Bronx, and coming back to New York was because I had left Charlotte, moved back to D.C., and was like, okay, I'm going to go to New York and really do this thing with my career. That was the height of my career.
What year was this?
It's 2019. This might have been 2013.
Okay.
2013, 2014. And I had just come off of directing videos for Trey Songz and K. Michelle. And I directed these when I lived in D.C. So living there and coming back and forth between DC and New York, I kind of built my relationships up really good. And I was like, okay, moved up here, and then my career really jump-started. I had an old business partner of mine, Karen Civil. Shout out to Karen. She really set me up for success, and I've never told her this because I was running her civil TV department. So I was literally flying everywhere, doing documentaries on Dej Loaf, Fetty Wap, Bankroll Fresh, R.I.P., Schoolie, Wynfin Lucci, like all the top artists right before they
became
who they were. And I was able to capture some of those artists in their everyday life in the studio, meet their family, kids, and by the time I added that to my portfolio, everything else came. and started working with Adidas and started working with Vibe. And we had an office here on 15 West 39th with my guy James. And it was everything was just working out perfectly. And I started to build my portfolio up and, started actually adding quality to it instead of quantity. Because it was more so about, at one point I felt like I was just filming to be filming.
Yeah. To get your skill sets up and just to get out there.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've always believed that, perfection, it ruins the dream of an entrepreneur. Because we never get started.
Right.
So whenever I was offered anything, sure, I'll do it. Because I just want to get better. And if I can make a little bit of money at it, let's do it. But once I started working with these bigger artists and actors and actresses and comedians and rappers and singers, everything just lined up and my portfolio was looking
pretty
really
nice.
good. Yeah, pretty nice.
So all this sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
You are traveling, you work with a industry expert like Karen Civil.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit about the difficulties. There had to be struggle points throughout this process.
Yeah, I did a lot by myself. Even with working with Karen, I was a one-man team a lot of the times, unless I had an interviewer there or a publicist or writer. But other than that, I was for instance, when I went to Atlanta to film Bankroll Fresh, I literally went to every hood around the heavy smoking, the heavy drinking by myself.
Yeah.
Cameras, lighting, running audio, tripods, get on a flight from JFK going to Atlanta, and I would do it all in less than 24 hours.
Ooh.
So I would go down there, let's say I would get to Atlanta 3 p.m. and film him. So I'm trying to knock out everything before it gets dark. And Karen, I love her, she would book me a flight the next morning at 6 a.m. So I'm like, I gotta get everything I need. I gotta tell this person's story. And I still gotta be in the hood and watch out for myself.
Right.
But I think I was able to do all those things and connect with those artists because of where I'm from and who I am. I didn't try to come off as, a snob or, okay, we need to get these shots and all that. Nah, I was talking to him like, hey, Holmes, we got to get these shots. Let's knock this thing out. You know what I'm saying? And talking to him like we grew up together. So that's what really worked. And I guess another difficult thing is just honestly dealing with, at that time, there were other people coming to Karen, saying that they were directors too. So a lot of them would say they would do stuff cheaper. They would do stuff free.
They're undercutting. It's
a lot of undercutting in this business. But I managed to, we had a strong relationship. Do what we do, do what I did, and, make sure that quality always showed, So, but other than that, I never really worried about nobody else. I kind of always worried about myself and making sure Amil did what Amil needed to do, So, but I mean, the struggle, I've been, self-employed going on 11 years. I worked a job for 2 months at Radio 1 in D.C. That didn't last long at all.
Yeah.
So I guess, I enjoy the hustle. There's no ego with nothing.
So even with all of this, it sounds like, sleep deprivation a little
Extremely.
bit. Because I do some editing and I just it just takes me forever.
Yeah.
Sound bites, all of that. So talk to me a little bit about your mental health. What do you do to maintain your mental health so that every day you're able to grind and hustle?
I think it's more so about, honestly, I'll keep it real with you. Get my mother a new house. Get my mother a new car. I want a new house. I want a new car. I don't have time to sit around and lollygag, And like I said, all right, I'll tell you something. I remember asking my mother, what did you want to be when you were my age? What did you want to do? And she had no clue. She was like, I don't know. I just wanted to work a regular job and, have a kid and raise you. I didn't, and no shade to my mother. I love her dearly, but I didn't want that for me. I wanted to know what I wanted to be, and what I wanted to do in my life. If when I'm a youngin' and a kid, and they telling us you can be whatever you want to be. All right, I know what I want to be. Yeah. I didn't just want to sit around and be like, the rest of the youngers in the neighborhood that really wasn't, doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I always tried to inspire and, show people what you could do, and offer up that free game. So, yeah.
Has your mindset kind of shifted a little bit now that you're a family man?
Yes, with kids, yes. Yeah. Extremely doing everything for them. And, the twins, Summer and Autumn, they see everything that I do. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to keep it all honest with you. Like, I don't want them to witness one struggle. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to witness any struggles that I went through. I want them to be set up for success. Mm-hmm. I want them to have businesses lined up if they choose to continue the legacy with these businesses. Once they graduate school, I want funding set up. I want college paid for. I want whatever to be set up. I don't want my daughters to go through anything. And, of course, some people may say, they got to go through some, just so they can build up their, immune system to the grind and the hustle and, the nasty people in this industry. Mm-hmm. And I'm also like, I'm not really worried about that because if they my daughters and they're, their mother's daughter, they're already going to know how to deal with people. Yeah. So, but yeah, twins is expensive. Twins is expensive between formula and just think 2 of everything.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but I can appreciate the grind and the focus. That was something that I appreciated about you, seeing you on UNC Charlotte. You always had bags. I was like, why does this man have so many bags? And you always had this, like, stern look about you, like, I gotta get where I gotta go, and I have to, like, accomplish what I need to accomplish. Yeah. And that coming from one person that's focused to another, it was just, like, inspiring to see. So with Currency Shift, the company that I have, this is our project, which is the podcast. And the podcast, the whole point is to take people like you who are first, only, or disruptive, you being the disruptive in this situation, and really help others really understand what it took for you to get here. And we like to talk about social currency. So social currency is building social networks to gain access, influence, resources, and networking in the digital space that affects a person online and offline. And for you, like your digital space, from what you told us earlier, your YouTube channel was a good starting point. On LinkedIn, you have over 800 followers. On your Instagram, you have over 300 followers. On Twitter, you have over 2,000. Tell us a little bit about in what ways social media has influenced or empowered your career trajectory.
Mainly, that's how you connect with people for free. Mm-hmm. That's how you get your brand out, your story out. And, on my Instagram now, I just pretty much post my kids, a lot. But it's, also I've built a good portfolio up to now where I don't really need, I'm not really for the followers. I keep it all the way 100 with you. Because Instagram can end tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Twitter can shut down tomorrow. So it's like, where's your hustle outside of that?
Yes.
Where's your core, where's your fan base, where's your clients outside of that? So I guess I've always prepared myself for work outside of, honestly, social media. Mm-hmm. Because we were doing this before social media was around.
Yes, thank you.
So
before Twitter.
Yeah, before all that. We always learned how to make a buck.
Yeah.
And but that's a platform for you to connect, with people. Like, so I got over 3,000 followers, and I really get likes on my stuff. It's like nothing fake. But I can also, a lot of my followers are my clients. I can actually make money off my, followers.
Yes.
And sharing my stuff. And even with my own personal page, you got the Cuff page. Mm-hmm. And with Cuff, that's how I make a lot of money with selling my cards.
Tell us a little bit about Cuff.
Oh, Cuff. Well, first, Cuff is a long story because it actually started off as Love Jones.
Yes.
At first. So the brand was called Love Jones, started in Charlotte. Mm-hmm. And it started off as just a house gathering, not even a house party. And I would literally just invite some of my friends over and cook chicken and waffles. And this is when Moscato was popping. Remember when everybody used to drink Moscato? I think Drake said, this is when Drake just came out. People were talking about Moscato for everything. And I just wanted some type of interaction other than us just drinking and eating chicken and waffles. And my friend at the time, Crystal, who's still my friend today, she had a website called Moo that just came out. And Moo, she showed me her business cards. And she was like, yo, in these business cards, you can get each card different, the design different. So all the business cards don't come out the same. So I was like, oh, Moo, okay. So I went to moo.com, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to create a game. Created one deck, Love Jones deck, and I just put a bunch of relationship questions on each card. So whenever my friends came back over, I just walked up to them and was like, pluck a card.
Yeah.
And they'll pluck a card and read something, a question related to, you know, dating or love. And they was like, what's this? And I was like, man, I just created it. It's called Love Jones. I created a dope logo from it and just started taking pictures, put them on Facebook and Twitter. Instagram was just starting, so it really didn't do that much. And then, you know, from that, I literally just asked all my crew, yo, let's do an event. In Charlotte, we got a little lounge, and I had the Love Jones cards, and I said, all right, we're going to do open bar for the first hour. And I didn't make no money off the Love Jones events, like none. And then from there, I tell you what solidified it. Outside of Love Jones, I went to work with Lorenz Tate in Atlanta to help him on a reality TV show he had at the time. And I told him about Love Jones. He loved it.
Yeah.
So he was like, bro, whatever you need, just let me know. So, and nobody knew I was in Atlanta filming, but they saw me with Lorenz Tate. Pictures with Lorenz Tate. So people associated it with that.
Love Jones, yeah.
So when I came back to Charlotte, did another Love Jones event, popping. Packed. People thought he was going to show up. I guess it just solidified, like, oh, what he got is real.
Yeah, because the Love Jones is a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
With Lorenz Tate in it back in the early 90s, I think.
90s, yeah. And then that happened, and I moved back to D.C., and I stopped doing Love Jones. And I stopped doing it because I noticed there were a lot of Love Jones going on. Like, you know, relationship events, and they were all called Love Jones. And I was like, all right, I don't want to do it no more. I'm done. Because when I feel like other people jump on the, you know, bandwagon, or whether it was actually here before me, you know, I always like, all right, I don't want to do it no more. So I stopped doing it for about 2-3 years, and in New York City, just went through a terrible breakup. After the breakup ended, I really only had 2 friends in New York City. So I met my big homie James, who had the office on 39th Street, and he pretty much helped out marketing for clothing brands. He helped start Apple Bottoms with Nelly, like used to run with Terror Squad, old school, you know, play a big homie. And he I was in the office, and he was just introducing me to people every day. Yeah, this is you know, my boy Amil. So I'm just meeting different people, and I was like, all right, I need something new. I want something else outside of doing documentaries and music videos. Something that I can make money while I sleep.
Yeah, passive income.
Exactly. So I was literally sitting on the couch in our office, and this is when Cuffin' Season by Fabulous came out. And this is when La Marina was popping.
Yes.
La Marina was popping. He just dropped a music video, and he was talking about Cuffin' Season. So I was like, you know what? I should bring back Love Jones. So I'm like, all right, let me think of a name. I said Cuff. 4-letter word.
Real simple.
Real simple. I was actually watching an episode of The Simpsons, and I don't know if you remember the Duff logo.
Yeah. Duff Man.
Yes. And the logo was kind of resembled. I was like, all right, I can do that. Call it Cuff. Woo, woo. I said, yo, James, can we do a little gathering with some people at the office? Let's have a little focus group. I want to see how people feel about it in New York City because this is what I used to do in Charlotte. He's like, yeah. He called up Trey Songz people. Trey Songz had a lick at the time. They came, dropped a ton of liquor bottles off. We got some food, got some pizza. I sent it out to a few people I knew in New York City, his people, and the office was packed. So I'm like, all right. So I'm telling everybody what Cuff is. And they like, okay. So I walk up to somebody, hand them a card. They go, ooh. Ooh, and they read the question. And then from there, after that first question, Cuff has been turned up ever since. Because everybody has their own perspective on relationships, dating, love, sex. Everybody thinks they're an expert, on what they went through. So from there, we did a focus group. Then we did another focus group, and they were all private. So you had to be special invite. So then it turned into people, like a lot of the people that were there were from Harlem. And, once something is cool amongst some Harlem people, they started exactly, and they started sharing it with their folks. And then I kind of got them involved in on some projects, and then from there it blew up. And then I met. And I really don't tell this story too much. I was doing a project for Centric. Remember Centric?
Yes.
Okay.
That was under Viacom.
Yeah, it was under BET.
Yes.
So I was doing a project with Centric. And one of my big homies, Clifton Bell, I was doing a project with him. I was the head post-production editor on the project. So he was like, yo, we just going to, invite the people from Centric to your office. And we can do everything edited and everything right there, knock the project out. So I was like, cool. So the guy had asked, so what else do you have going on? So Clifton told him about Cuff. And he was like, man, he's got this great idea. He got these cards and the young millennials being here screaming at each other and just turned up. So from there, the guy was like, oh, that sounds dope. Let's try to figure out what we can do with it. So I'm like, all right, wait, let's finish this first project first. I'm like, okay, cool. So finish the whole project with Centric. Then it comes back. We started working with a production company called Hot Snakes. Working the production company, doing editing projects with them. Now we have a production company that we can introduce a project to that can kind of lead us into the door better with BET. Because no matter if you have an idea, you still need a production company to help you out with getting this vision across. And from there, we started doing talent searches and bringing people to the office and interviewing people. I'm like, this thing looking good. This thing looking good. All right, it's about to get on TV. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And then I found out I had a tumor. Oh. I found out I had a tumor because I was sitting in the talent searches and I couldn't hear anything in my ear. And so a guy by the name of Dane, who was working at Hot Snakes at the time, he was like, oh, you probably just cleared up with wax. Just, go to the ENT doctor and get him to take the wax out. So I'm like, all right, let me do that because I can't even really edit like this. Yes. So go to the ENT doctor, and they found out that it was a tumor on my eardrum, which just it threw me in a whole loop. Yeah. And, they were talking about brain infection because it was right there. And it controlled my whole sinus side. So sometimes I couldn't feel the whole right side of my face. Yeah. It was just bad, which ultimately led me to going back to D.C. I was just over the noise in the city. And my mother's in D.C., so she was talking about, at first we were going to have the surgery in New York. She was like, I don't think you can do that. Because who's going to take care of you? Yeah.
Because at this point, you're still by yourself.
I was still by myself. I was living with a family in the Bronx. I was renting a room. Because I had moved out of my old apartment. I was like, I need to save some money. I was renting a room. And I loved them dearly. But I knew they really couldn't do much for me, living with them. And I was like, okay, I'm going back to D.C., get this handled. And good thing I came back to DC because I had you ever had vertigo? Okay. I had vertigo for about a month. And vertigo, You know that feeling when you get drunk and you stumble and everything's blurry?
Yeah.
I had that for a month straight.
Wow.
Even when I slept, from them taking the tumor off my eardrum, and it messed my whole balance up. I was walking with a cane. It was bad, you know. And from there, the cuff was working out because I was still traveling back and forth. And BT picked it up.
Wow.
They picked up we had created a little teaser video from videos that I had shot previously. And they loved it. They was like, oh, man, we've been wanting to do something like this for so long. You know, a millennial show talking about dating, relationships, sex, but not necessarily talk show-ish.
Yeah.
You know, and came to New York, filmed a pilot episode, loved it. But then it came down to just the politics of the game.
Yes.
You know, I had the cards. You know, and the crazy thing is, I hadn't sold a card yet, but I owned the licensing and the trademark for all my stuff. And I know they didn't think I had that. You know, they probably thought I was just some youngin' off the street with a good idea. Oh, all right, we can, you know, get his stuff. And I got one of the best lawyers on the East Coast. And she pushed that thing through, you know. And ultimately, it didn't work out, politics, but I still had the cards. And I eventually, it's crazy how things always happen when something bad happens to me. So time goes on. We just, before the show didn't work out, we were still waiting. And we had came to New York, filmed. And at the time, I was working with Radio 1 in D.C. I was a senior digital content producer, which means I was creating all the digital content for like 5 radio stations. That's a job I only did for 2 months. So, I only did that job for 2 months. And more, I guess more so just from, I'm not a political person in an office space.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, I don't just sit somewhere, excuse me, and I'm not a yes man. You know, if somebody asks me to do something, I'm like, okay, what's it for? Or
yeah.
I don't.
You ask questions.
Yeah, I ask questions. I'm not a really office person, and you know, be somewhere at 9:00 and you know, get off at 5 and lunch for 1 hour. That's just not me. So there was just a few instances with Radio 1 that just didn't work out, and I just quit on the spot. I said, can't do it. I'm out of here. Like I can get back to my own hustle, you know. And from that, I was like, you know what? I don't want anybody to think that I'm just, how can I say this? I'm a sucker. I'm like, he just quit. He need this job. You know, he'll be back. And from that, I was like, nah, I don't need nothing. So in that, I went and found a website. I was like, you know what? Let's create these cuff cards.
Yeah.
Wrote down 100 questions with she was my girlfriend at the time, but now she's my fiance. She helped me come up with the questions. I said, all right, it's going to cost this much. It would think for 100 decks, it was $700. All right, so I'm paying, $7 a deck. I'm going to sell them for $25. All right, let's try this out.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a sample back, and I posted the picture of the first ever cuff deck on my Instagram, and it blew up.
Yeah.
It blew up. And it blew up from just my friends who were like, you finally did it. You finally got the deck. And people knew about the cup deck because they saw me going through the process of filming for the TV show, filming for online content, and everything is based off of the cards.
Right.
So when they saw me post it up, they was like, oh, you finally got them? Got the 100 decks in, sold out quick. I was like, all right, cool. I made about $2,500 off a $700
investment.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, we did it again. Dropped 100, sold out. Boom.
So at this point with the deck, you were including the Ciroc shots, the little airplane thing.
Oh, that was literally just me connecting with media influencers and trying to create gift boxes for them.
Okay, got it.
You know, I had somebody that knew B. Dot from what's a B. Dot on Tidal now? Him and Elliot Wilson, Charlemagne the God, So I was literally I went to a store called Paper Source in Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
Got a little box, put some red ribbon in it, put the cup deck, put the little miniature Ciroc bottle I got from my corner liquor store. They was only $1.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Packaged it up, little cute little sign on it, wrote their name on it, put it on Instagram. Boom. Oh, we need that too.
Mm-hmm.
How can we get the little gift box? And from there, it just, honestly, it blew up. And to this day, I'm sold out of cuff cards. But I'm working on getting them in Target right now, and actually going through the whole process of actually getting a playing card game created in the United States is difficult. It's not just like a T-shirt line where you can just walk to, somewhere and get some T-shirts printed
Right.
up. You just can't walk somewhere and get cards printed up and boxes, and they have a quality to it, that works. So. It's something I just got to go overseas with. But everything's working out. We still working on sharing pilot for the TV show. We have the podcast right now that is doing good. We finished creating the app and designing. Got the cards. So Cuff is more than the cards. Cuff is an all around brand.
Yes.
If you can have ESPN that's directed solely towards sports, why can't you have a channel called Cuff that's solely directed towards relationships, love, and dating and sex? So that's my whole thing was about creating an opportunity, owning it.
I love it. Your story is so impressive because even throughout the surgery, having the tumor, experiencing vertigo, you still had the hustle and the push and the drive.
Yeah.
You didn't let anything prevent you from your dreams and accomplishing your goals.
At all,
whether it was my favorite part is you going through the breakups.
Oh, yeah.
You had two major breakups that kind of launched you.
Yeah, I never really thought about it like that. You're right.
Into your purpose and really maximizing your skill sets and bringing everything together.
Because I want the exes to look back and be like, "Dang,
I missed out."
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm not just gonna sit around here and be moping and crying and all that. I want you to look back like, he did it. He did what he said he was going to do. You know what I'm saying? And finding some type of hustle.
And the cool thing about this is that through your connections with people in the industry and the relationships that you built and maintained, that also helped to kind of take you to the next step.
Yeah.
And that's really important for the listeners to know is that, yes, you were a one-man show, but you're a one-man show that managed solid relationships.
Yes, very true.
Right? So, because a lot of people, they have this entrepreneurship mindset where I just do it by myself. I don't need anybody.
Oh, no.
And it's you can do it by yourself. You can be a one-man show, but you need relationships.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, you need the social media because it's you post it on Instagram, you post it on Facebook, and that's what helped it take off outside of the relationships. Right?
Very true.
So my question for you is, throughout your whole experience, from watching your dad to listening to your mom, to your experience at UNC Charlotte, Johnson & Wales, to everything that you went through with the surgery and coming up with Cuff and just walking away from businesses that didn't serve you, what is your one piece of advice? Just your one piece of advice that you would put on a Post-it?
Don't quit. Don't quit and do it. Whatever you want to do, just do it. Simple as that. I mean, one of my favorite brands is Nike. What's their slogan? Just do it. Yeah. It's simple. I think, like I said earlier, a lot of people wait for something to be perfected, which is the demise of being an entrepreneur. It will never get done if you're waiting for something to be perfect.
Say that again.
It will never get done if you're waiting for it to be perfect. You need to start somehow, put it out there, see what people think. Everything goes through trial and error. I'm not afraid to fail. There's been times where I didn't film music videos and all of a sudden my memory cards are missing. And I gotta go and talk to that artist and say, somebody stole my equipment as we're shooting, and got to talk to them. But because the relationships are so strong, I say, yo, let's go and shoot this again. Let's go and do it right. Maybe this is God telling us, this probably wasn't right. Let's go and do something. I think people are afraid of failure, which is why they never start. Because we live in a day and age where everybody's worried about what everybody else thinks.
Yes.
I don't care what nobody thinks. And this comes from me being a latchkey kid that grew up really by himself. You know what I'm saying? Unless I went out, but I was trying to stay out of trouble. So a lot of the times I was in the house. I was watching movies. I was on the brand new computer that my uncle gave me. I was drawing. I literally was by myself, and I didn't care what nobody else thought.
And that's because you learned yourself.
Exactly.
You loved yourself.
Exactly. I'm confident in myself.
Exactly.
You know, but I know I'm a fail. I know I'm a fail, but that's okay. You know what I'm saying? When I die, my tombstone doesn't say failure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Long as I know I tried at whatever I needed to do, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah.
All right, cool. Love it. So this is the speed round, right?
Okay.
I got to get situated.
Okay.
All right. So if you need a refill for this?
Yeah, let's get a little bit more.
All right. Just a little bit, you know. Yep, there you go.
All right.
A little bit for me. All right. So this is a speed round.
Okay.
So I'm just going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
Whatever comes to mind, just say it. Whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
All right. What gets you out of bed?
My daughters.
What's your favorite band or group or artist?
Dipset. Diplomatics.
All right. What's your favorite drink?
Bullet. Bourbon.
Yes, whiskey.
Yes.
I'm a whiskey woman. I love whiskey. All right. Role models.
Jim Jones.
Really?
Yes.
Jim Jones?
Yeah.
Huh. All right.
Surprisingly, a lot of people are like, Jim Jones?
Nah, I mean, you know, to each his own.
Yeah.
We'll dive into that after the show.
Okay.
Luxury item.
Ooh. I don't own nothing. Something that I want? I'm sorry. I know
It's
this is
whatever.
quick.
Whatever comes to your mind when I say luxury item.
I want a big house. I want a brand new house or a condo, middle of the city, downtown. I'm a city guy.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I want. Yeah.
Favorite food?
Barbecue ribs, and I shouldn't be eating pork.
I like the beef ribs. Have you had beef ribs?
I had them, but it's something about that.
The pork, that swine.
And I know I shouldn't be eating it, but them ribs, yo.
A favorite country to visit?
Bermuda. Matter of fact, let me take that back. Haiti. Yeah,
Haiti.
shout out to Karen Civil. She took me to Haiti twice. Yeah, and that was an experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Haiti and Karen. Best way to give back?
Help the youth, help the young black men in my neighborhood that don't have any inspiration.
Retirement place?
L.A., in the hills.
In the hills?
Yeah, I want to live in Los Angeles, in the hills, high up. I want to look out my deck and just see all of L.A. lights. That's what I want.
Beautiful. Cartoon?
The Simpsons.
Yes. Drama?
This new show that I like called All American on Netflix. Watch it.
I had to check that out because I saw it.
It's amazing.
You know how you scroll through?
It's amazing.
Yeah?
Yes.
Comedy?
Insecure.
Insecure?
I love Insecure. It's a comedy, right?
Yeah.
Nah.
I mean, it'll pass, yeah.
Yeah.
Comedy. Yeah. We'll accept it. Whatever.
Yeah, okay.
What is happiness?
Looking at my daughter smile every day. That's summer and autumn. That's my life right there.
Is there anything you would like the listeners to know?
Life is beautiful. Enjoy life. Regardless of whatever you want to do, just do it. Just try. Don't live with regret and look back wishing you could have did something. Because you can do it right now. And everything doesn't require money. A lot of things can sometimes just require a relationship, that you have, or start a brand new relationship, and just do it,
I love it. I appreciate you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I had tons of fun. Let the people know how they can connect with you, follow you, all of that.
My website is barnesdigital.co, not .com, .co. My Instagram is at Amil Barnes, AMIL, B as in boy, A as in apple, RNES. And my email, amil@barnesdigital.co. And you can see, most of my work and what I've done. And also letscuff.com, LETSCUFF.com.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to our sponsor for Season 2, Punto Space. The contemporary raw space combines capacity with intimacy. 4 distinct spaces on 3 levels encompass more than 3,500 square feet. Custom configurations, a state-of-the-art audio-visual system, and full-service support provide endless possibilities for realizing your creative vision. Thank you for joining the conversation. To learn more about Currency Shift, go to currencyshiftnow.com. If you feel as though you fit the criteria as the first, the only, or the disruptive, send us an email, info@currencyshiftnow.com. Until next time, keep pushing, stay motivated, and stay encouraged.